Do you like spooky stories? Well, you're in luck because this is the first episode to our new little series for Not Another Spooky podcast called Spooky Bedtime Stories.
Cool Mates Entertainment presents Not Another Spooky Podcast.
Hey, Ghoster Squad! Welcome back to Not Another Spooky Podcast, aka your favorite spooky slumber party. I'm Mandy Spooks.
And I'm Rabbit Loves Horror. We're just two lifelong besties, keeping the spook alive together all year.
This is our first episode of Spooky Bedtime Stories, so make sure you leave your nightlight on because you never know what stories will haunt your dreams. To set the mood for our spooky slumber party, today we're grave digging into sleep-themed stories. All right, Ghosters, let's get into some haunted housekeeping.
That was really good.
Thank you.
Okay, so I came up with this idea because I watched a lot of spooky content, whether it's like horror movies or horror shows, but I also watched a lot of ghost hunting YouTube videos and like paranormal YouTube videos, TikTok scary stories, and even some Reddit creepypastas. So I thought it would be cool to kind of create a list of all of my favorites that I find and kind of like file them away. And then every month I can just grab a few and then share them with you and all the Ghoulsters.
I'm excited.
I hope you are. I'm really scared that I'm going to scare you too much and you won't want to do these anymore.
No, I'm more nervous of like not knowing how this episode's going to go, if that makes sense. Like
True,
I did
new.
not peek at all at your notes and your script. So I'm more like, I'm not used to being like the backseat driver in there.
That's true. Yes, you're always leading all of the topics, which I appreciate. And now you're making me nervous because I'm gonna have to like be the lead on these. But I think it's gonna go well.
You got this. You're ready.
I hope you like the stories.
Okay.
Okay, so I did find all of these stories while scrolling on TikTok. So these are not like original stories that I wrote or anything. These are literally stories I found on TikTok. And I'm thinking maybe I can make a collection of them on TikTok. Like this little thing you can do on TikTok and just add videos to like a watch later kind of playlist. So maybe I'll do that so y'all can go back and watch them yourself. Because sometimes the comments are like as fun as watching the video.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll do that. Then it'll be like on my Rabbit Loves Horror account collection. But okay, so the first one I chose is about lucid dreaming, and it was posted by someone by the name of Rando Bando 39. So first, I wanted to actually ask you: do you know what lucid dreaming is, and have you experienced it?
I don't know what it is.
Okay, good. Okay, so lucid dreaming is when you're dreaming, but then you realize you're actually in a dream. Like you realize, like, oh, I'm dreaming right now while you're in your dream. Have you ever had that happen
like
to you?
Like being aware that you're dreaming?
Mm-hmm.
I think so. I mean, that sounds kind of like, doesn't everyone know they're dreaming when they dream?
I don't.
No?
Sometimes I mean, there's times where like, oh wait, I'm in a dream. And then I immediately like wake up. But that's just like how my brain works. Like once I know I'm dreaming, like 5 seconds later, I wake up.
Oh no, I have the ability to like keep my dreams going a little longer sometimes.
Really?
I mean, not as long as I would like all the time, but yeah, sometimes. The only time that I can't wake up is when I have sleep paralysis.
Interesting. You're lucky. I didn't know that about you. I know you had like sleep paralysis, but I didn't know that you actually know you're in dreams and you just like do whatever you want. That sounds fun.
Well, I don't have
For me, it doesn't work that way.
That's so weird. That's such a weird thing to think about. I can't like control what I do, but I do know I'm dreaming. And sometimes it goes on longer when I know, but then sometimes I'll wake up. I wouldn't say I always wake up as soon as I know it's a dream.
Interesting. Okay, so let's get into the story because this is about a girl that figures out she's dreaming and while she's having a crazy dream. So she starts the video by saying that she had this crazy dream and is asking for people like for advice and seeing if anybody else has experienced this kind of dream before. She did mention that she was taking new medication that kind of like helps her sleep. It doesn't really make her go to sleep, but it just helps her stay asleep, which is kind of interesting. So in the dream, she is in a like house in Florida, and she assumes it's Florida because there are like alligators all over the place. And she is surrounded by all of these people that she doesn't really recognize in the dream, but in the dream she knows like oh, that's my family and these are my friends. Like, weird. That's how kind of dreams are, right? Things don't make sense. Anyway, they were all having a great time, having a barbecue, feeding the alligators. But then an alligator jumped out of the water like a shark. And for some reason, when that happened, that triggered something in her brain. And she realized that she was in a dream. So she's there with her friend. And she turns to her friend, and her friend's name is Misty, who is an actual friend in real life. And she said, hey, we should go inside and make some dinner. And her friend was like, okay, yeah, let's go. So as they're like chopping carrots, they're just standing there chopping carrots, and Misty is kind of like her bestie. So she wanted to tell her like, hey, Misty, I'm dreaming. So she leans over to her and whispers and says, I know we're dreaming. So she tells that to Misty, and Misty looks at her and says, you're not supposed to know that. And she was like, yeah, I know, but like, let's keep it a secret. Like, it's fine. We'll be cool. And Misty like starts backing away from her, and her face starts to change and get like a different kind, turn into like a different kind of person. And it seems to her, to Rando, that like this Misty character is changing into like her original form. Very weird. But Misty then starts panicking and saying, I have to tell the others. This like, what's happening is not good. And Rando is like, no, it's okay. I will keep like pretending. Like, I'll keep pretending it's real. I'll go along with it. Or you can just like wake me up and I'll just stop dreaming. But then Misty runs out of the room, and everyone else starts coming inside and telling her, like, you're not supposed to know this is happening. Like, you're not supposed to know you're dreaming. And then they start talking to each other, and they're all like all panicking, and they're like, oh my God, what are we going to do? Why does she know she's sleeping? Blah, blah, blah. And then while this is happening, while these people are like talking amongst each other, their faces also start changing, and the rooms start changing. And she said it was kind of like she was on a set of a movie at that point, where like all the walls were kind of just like moving out of the way, or like the wallpaper was like peeling off, like some kind of like the veil was like coming off of like her dream, and it was like showing its true form. But while that's happening, they're all just still panicking, saying like, this isn't good, what's happening? So they all leave the room, and it's just her friend Misty there. And Misty goes to like the corner of the room, and she gets into the fetal position and starts rocking back and forth. And she, and Rando's like stuck in this room. She's like, okay, what do? I can't wake up. I don't know what to do. So she just starts talking to Misty. She just starts asking her some questions. And she says, like, hey, Misty, like, where do you go when I'm awake? And Misty answers and says, we never leave. And Rando says, what do you mean? Like, you never leave my brain, or do you never leave like this dream dimension? And Misty says, I can't tell you that. And she's like, okay, it's kind of weird. So then she asks her another question. She's like, were you ever alive? And Misty's face turns like to sadness, and tears start coming out of her face. And she says, I wish more than anything I could have been alive. So that like really freaks out Rando. And she's thinking like, well, they're being like really weird. They're all panicking. Is somebody like watching us? Like, is there like somebody watching you right now? So she asks her like, who is watching? Who's listening to us right now? And Misty stands up and says, I cannot tell you that. So she runs out of the room again, comes back with a rotary phone, and she says, all I can do is give you this phone where you can listen to the outside world, which is like the real world. And she says, I can't wake you up, but I can let you listen. So Randall grabs the phone, and she can hear what's happening in real life. Like, she could hear her fan that she has in her room. She can hear the aquarium that she has in her room. She could even hear like a YouTube video that she left on before she went to sleep. And she can also hear her son that's in the crib. And so she starts panicking, and she can hear everything. So she starts screaming like, wake me up, wake me up, wake me up. And Misty grabs the phone from her and says, you just got me in a lot of trouble. And she runs out of the room with the phone. And then Misty comes back, and Misty's just like pacing back and forth of the room. She's stressed. She doesn't know what to do. And while that's happening, she is also still hearing all the other people that were in her dream outside, talking to each other, saying like, what are we going to do? How are we going to wake her up? How are we going to do this without letting him, in quotations, know? And even saying like, what if he already knows? What if he knows that this is already happening? So Bando's like getting really scared, and was like, who is this person? Who are they talking about? Then all of a sudden, in the corner of the room that she's currently in, she sees like kind of like a portal-ish to her real room. And then she can see the baby in her, she's the crib, sees the crib where her baby is in, and the baby starts to cry. And then Misty looks at her and just says, "Run." And then she runs through the portal. And then as she went through the portal, she just woke up. And that's it.
Okay, follow-up question. So in
Yeah.
lucid dreaming, are you able to make decisions?
Some people can. Supposedly some people can make things happen in their dream. Like once they know they're dreaming, they can create certain things to happen in the dream. Kind of like a superhero, I guess.
But like, so they can decide what they want to say or ask people.
Yes.
Okay, so then I don't think I have that because like I don't control. Like I know I'm dreaming, but I can't like make things happen. Like it's more like a movie I'm watching that I have no control over, but I know that it's a dream.
Interesting.
So,
No, yeah, she had like full control of her body.
That's crazy. But like just the whole scenario is crazy, and yeah, that would make such a good movie.
Right.
Rando Bando, let's talk.
I know, right? I think she even has an update. I didn't watch the updated videos because this literally happened a couple days ago that she posted this video. And I think she had posted an update maybe like the other day. So I haven't really gone back and seen like her part 2 of where she kind of explains more details. But yeah, I listened to this and I just got chills throughout the whole time.
Was anyone in the comments saying they've experienced the same thing at all?
I didn't see anybody that said that they experienced like this specific scenario, but it was just more people like agreeing like, oh yeah, I've had lucid dreams where I've realized I've been dreaming, but nothing like this where people were kind of panicking that they knew that they were dreaming.
Interesting. I wouldn't say that one scares me. It was just like, it was creepy when you were like, I know we're dreaming or whatever she said. And then your little ambiance with your whisper. Okay, Rabbit.
I'm trying to tell it how she told it, and she did whisper, so I was like, oh, that is kind of creepy. But yeah, I think that was a good first story to kind of like, it's not too scary, but it's just like, oh, interesting. I hope that does not happen to me when I'm sleeping.
Do they get scarier?
I think so. I think the next one's kind of creepy.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, so this next story was posted by username Letty Loves You. This one, she's a really cool creator. She takes stories that are in Spanish that people send to her, and then she translates them into English and then posts them on TikTok.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, she's a really good storyteller too. So I got this one from her. So it starts with this guy. His name, we'll call him Juan. She didn't give him a name, so I'll just go with Juan. And when he was young, he had a best friend named Raul. And Juan loved being Raul's best friend because Raul had such a different lifestyle as him. Raul had both of his parents. They were both loving and attentive parents. And on top of that, Raul had his own bedroom, lived in a big house with a bunch of toys and video games. And those are all things that Juan didn't really have in his home. So he was always happy to spend the night at Raul's house. And even Raul's parents were so nice to him. And even things as simple as like ordering pizza for dinner was something that Juan was excited for, because that wasn't really something that his family did at his house. So in his eyes, everything at Raul's house was perfect until like the nighttime came around. So the first time that Juan spent the night while trying to go to bed, he thought he heard knocking on the window. And he kind of ignored it, thinking, okay, it's probably the branch of the tree hitting the window, making a sound. So he didn't open his eyes to look. Then he heard that tapping again, and he was there frozen, just like terrified, pretending to be asleep. But he could still hear the knocking, but he still didn't open his eyes and kind of just forced himself to fall asleep. So that happened. And then the next weekend, Raul asked Juan, like, hey, do you want to come over and spend the night again? Blah, blah, blah. And Juan was so excited about the good things he remembered from the last sleepover. So he was like, heck yeah, good, like pizza, movies, video games. And he totally forgot about that window incident. So he went over again and he spent the night. Well, bedtime comes around again and he's laying there, and again he hears the tapping at the window, and he laid there again pretending to be asleep, trying to ignore it, but then something else happened. He could hear someone trying to sneak in the window, and it started like somebody was like trying to open the window, and he could hear it like opening up. So he got scared. He stood up and he looked at the window, and he saw a hand pull back from the window, and he described the hand as like a long with strange fingers, and to him it looked like a demonic hand, supposedly. So he got scared. He woke up Raul, and they both got scared and ran to the parents' room. And the parents were like, what the heck? So they went to the room and they looked at the window, and it was closed. Nothing had happened. And then they explained to Juan, sorry, I'm like mixing up my names. And they explained to Juan that they have an alarm system. So if anything were to open at night, like the alarm would go off. So I'm sure they told him that. So like, they probably thought he was maybe had like a nightmare, or he just like imagined something, because they're like, it couldn't have happened because the alarm would have went out. So they all calmed down, and they all went to bed on that night. And Juan would still go over, and things would still happen at night. And one night he needed to go to the restroom. I don't know why this kid kept going over to his best friend's house. I would have stopped a long time ago, but I guess, I don't know. Who knows what his home life was like. So on his way there to the restroom, there's another window out in the hallway, which is a bigger window that points towards the front yard. And when he looked out the window, he saw a pale, tall, bald man under the tree staring like into it at the house. And when I say bald, he described them bald as how like having no hair at all, like no eyebrow hairs, no facial hair, no hair on his head. But he didn't say anything. He's like, okay, this is just a ghost. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to keep it to myself. Anyway, so he kept staying like back to back nights, and he would keep seeing that man like getting closer to the window. But again, he didn't want to say anything, because if he did say something, then he was scared that they wouldn't invite him over anymore, or they wouldn't let him hang out with Ro, his best friend. So yeah, he just dealt with it on his own. But then we get to the last night that Juan ever stayed over at Ro's house. So Juan woke up in the middle of the night again, he was super thirsty, and he wanted to go to the kitchen to get a glass of water. So he starts walking out of Ro's room, walks towards the kitchen, but then as he walks out, he sees someone else in the house also making their way into the kitchen. And it was the bald man that just like turned to him, and they both just like looked at each other like they were both like shocked. Like, what the heck? This like figure's like looking at me. So Juan just like backs away from this thing and like goes into the room and just like goes to sleep. I'm like, how does that even work? I don't know. But that's what happened. He did that. So eventually after that night, he was like, okay, this is too much. I can't be going over to this house with this ghost that's just like coming after me. Nobody else sees him. I can't go over. So Raul would ask him to come over on a weekend, and Juan would be like, no, I can't go. Like, no, sorry. And then eventually Raul stopped inviting him over, and Raul started inviting other people over, and they kind of like drifted apart, and they just made different friends. So years pass by, and Juan bumps into Raul, like, in this beginning years, they were like super young, and then by this time they were already in their 20s. So they bump into each other, and they see each other again, and they're like, oh, hey, we should like grab coffee and catch up and blah, blah, blah. So they go and do that. And while they're talking and catching up, Juan tells him that he had always had like fond memories of him and his family. Like, he was so grateful that they were friends, even if it was for just a short time. Then Juan told Raul why he stopped going over. And it was because the bald ghost was like terrorizing him when he would go over. And Raul was like, oh, well, I can explain that.
Oh no.
I know. I'm like, wait, what? And he said, yeah, there was something in the house, but my family didn't really figure out what was happening until like a year after you stopped coming over. And he said, yeah, it wasn't a ghost. It was an actual person. that was going to the house. Apparently, it was a family member that lived a few streets away from them, and they had severe mental issues and were kind of considered dangerous. But somehow this man was able to sneak out at night and go to Raul's house without being caught. And I guess he had figured out the alarm code and was eventually able to go into the house without like tripping the alarm or without anybody knowing.
Oh my gosh.
I know. So the only reason they found this out is because Raul's family was going on vacation and they forgot something. So the dad went back, and when he walked into the house, the man was there, like in their house, and the bald man just kind of like charged the dad to attack him. And I guess there was like a struggle, and then the bald man ran out of the house, and they called the police, and then they were able to catch him, and they eventually put him away. Supposedly they didn't put him in jail because he was, had mental issues. So he was like put away into like a home, I'm assuming. So they also like supposedly found out that he was maybe responsible for some murders that happened at night. Like he would just like leave, escape his home, and kind of like go to like random houses and sneak in. So that left Raul, while he was younger, also super uncomfortable at night because he just couldn't sleep. He was like terrified, like he was going to come get him since he's been in the house so many times. And he never felt comfortable again until like that bald man eventually like passed away. And that was the end of the story. So he was validated that he wasn't just saying things, and it wasn't a ghost. It was an actual person.
I don't know what's scarier, to be honest, if it had been a ghost or the real person. Also, he's like lucky that he didn't do anything to him.
I know, like what would have happened?
He had the chance.
He had multiple chances to kill that kid. So I'm like, I don't know. That's creepy. Now it like makes it scary to go over to people's houses and sleep over, have some sleepovers. I don't know. That one freaked me out, especially learning that it wasn't an actual ghost. It was an actual person like playing with this kid. I
know, it's creepy. First of all, speaking of staying at houses, I will never forget that your cousin was doing Bloody Mary in those restrooms and I was staying at your house. Like, that is crazy to me, first of all. Secondly, it reminded me of an even not even creepier, but it is creepy. A creepy thing. My mom has told me that when her and my dad had first gotten married, that a guy that lived there was like also mentally ill. And he would like sneak into the apartment when she would take showers and like be waiting for her in the kitchen, like just sitting there.
Oh my God.
And she was like, he never did anything to me. Like, she was so nonchalant about it, but I'm like, Mom, that's freaking crazy. Like,
that is scary. That's literally worse than a ghost.
I don't know, because like for me, it's just like the unknown about ghosts that is so scary, because I still go back to like, you can physically fight an intruder, but you can't fight, like, how do you fight a ghost that's like tormenting you, but you can't like touch them? I don't know, it's just weird.
That's true, but then I feel like the ghosts can't do anything. Like they can scare you, but they can't like physically like harm you. I don't know, that's where my mind goes. I was like, yeah, you can scare me.
Have you seen The Conjuring?
I don't know. I guess that's my one thing that keeps me sane, I guess, is they can't hurt me.
Harm me. Yeah.
You can scare me, but you can't get me.
I really thought he was just going to say like, oh, that was my uncle or my grandpa or something. But then like to say that it was an intruder is crazy.
Right?
And then it got crazier when you said that he had been killing people. Like, what?
Yeah, honestly, I don't know how true this story is, but if that is all true, that is crazy to have like a murderer wandering around your home at night. And like, what was he doing? Was he just like roaming around?
And how was he getting the code to get in? I don't understand.
That I don't know. That she tried to explain it. I was like, wait, how did he get the code? But I guess he had figured out the code while they were sharing it with somebody. I don't know. It's creepy.
It still caught me off guard, though, so good job.
I know, it really went, like, in a different direction. Okay,
yeah, I think both of them have been, like, not what I'm expecting, so we'll see. Okay.
Really? Okay.
Last one.
The last one. Okay, so it's another one from TikTok, and this one is from username Ash Cat Pod. This one's not that scary, but it's more like a spooky story, but it ends with like a cautionary tale, which I liked. So we have Ash, which is the person telling the story, and she was going through a phase of where she was getting into witchcraft, and during that time, she successfully hexed her stepmom. Which is funny because it's like later in life. She's not even a kid anymore. This is more later in life. And that was like the only time that she actually did hex somebody, and she says she feels like she deserved it. But her hex kind of did destroy her family and accidentally made the house that she was living in extremely haunted. So ever since Ash was little, she never got along with her stepmom. She said that she made her life a living hell. She described her mom like the Cinderella stepmother, where she just made her childhood super awful. So all that happened. So in the future, Ash is now an adult, and her dad reaches out and says, hey, can you guys like figure it out? Can you guys just like find a way to make amends and just like, move on from it? So Ash is like, yeah, I'll try to meet with her and try to work things out. So Ash is currently at that time in the process of buying an RV, and she was so excited to buy it. So she says like, okay, maybe I'll do this like little purchase with my stepmom. So she invites her stepmom, and the stepmom was like, okay, yeah, cool. I'll go pick you up. So they go to the dealership, and the man is like, okay, how are you going to haul this like RV out? So I'm assuming it's not an RV that you can like drive out. It's like one you have to attach to a truck.
Mm-hmm.
So Ash says, oh, we're going to use the Tahoe that's outside. And her stepmom looks at her and says, you're going to use a Tahoe? And Ash says, yeah, I asked my dad if I could use a Tahoe to haul the RV. So he says it's cool. So that happened. And so she completes the transaction. And as they're driving home, it's super awkward. And the stepmom isn't really saying anything. And if she does, it's super short with her responses. So eventually she just drops Ash off at her place, and she's like, okay, whatever. I did my good deed. About an hour and a half later, she gets a text from her stepmom saying that she was so disrespectful, that she doesn't want to be around her or her siblings, and she wants no relationship with them at all. And Ash was like, what the heck? So she calls her dad and is like, what is happening? Like, where is this text message coming from? Like, what is she talking about? And I guess the dad explained that when the stepmom came home, and when the guy at the dealership asked about the Tahoe, Ash's tone was very sarcastic, and that led to the dad saying like he could no longer have a relationship with his daughter out of respect for his wife. So this made her like super, super, super angry. So she decides to cast a spell on her. So supposedly her stepmom had been known to have some substance abuse problems in the past. So I guess to like represent that, she grabs a prescription pill bottle and fills it with vinegar and puts spices in there like chili pepper, cayenne pepper, anything spicy that she can find. She's just like starts putting it in there, and she even puts like a bullet casting in there. And then while she's doing the spell, she's going in like with the intention of exposing her stepmom and for everybody to realize how manipulative she is. And she just wanted to know how bad this stepmom was to her. So she's just like putting this intention into this bottle, and then she throws it in the freezer, and then she just forgets about it. So time passes, and it's a couple months later, and she starts having these crazy dreams. In these dreams, she is running down the hallway of her house to get to her room because something is chasing her. And this thing would eventually catch up to her and touch her on her shoulder. And when that happened, when that thing touched her, she would feel like her soul was being like lifted out of her body. So she would literally feel her coming out, and she would like look down, and like her body would still be there, but like she was like her soul was looking down, and she would like lift out of her body. And this was just like a reoccurring dream that she would just have constantly while in that house. And there would even be times where she would be laying in bed and she would hear like scratching noises near her pillow. And just anytime she was at that, she just felt like there was like an evil presence around her. And it just made her really hard for her to sleep in the house. But eventually the spell worked. So like 3 months after she did the ritual, the stepmom had admitted to a terrible secret. But she said the weird thing is that she didn't really get caught in this secret. She didn't really want to say what the secret was, but I'm assuming it's like cheating. I don't know. It ruined the whole, like, all of their family. Everybody kind of turned on her. Her dad divorced her, the stepmom, and yeah, all that happened. So she was like, okay, cool, my spell worked. But eventually she moved out of the house that she was living in where she created the spell, and she kind of transferred over the lease to another family member. She says she did it not because of because it was haunted, but because it was such a good deal. Like, the rent was really low and really cheap, and it was a nicer house. So she's like, okay, I'll just like transfer it over to my family and I'll just move out. So she moves out, and eventually her family would call and tell her, like, hey, ever since I moved into this house, I keep having like weird dreams of me levitating off my bed, and this house is so haunted. Like, what the heck? And supposedly, like, they were all even in the kitchen making dinner or something, and the knife like flew across the kitchen. So she kind of like just left her family to a haunted house and to the I don't know, whatever she summoned there. And when Ash moved out of the house, she never experienced anything. So she got lucky, not cursing herself, but just like cursing the house that she lived in. But this reminded me of The Craft of the Power of Three, where she tried to put out this hex that worked, but then it came back to her. So I'm wondering if it's like a demon or this like entity or this force that like is summoned or like opens something to like opens you up to anything else that could come through. So I don't know. I thought that was kind of creepy.
That's very interesting. That it like haunted the house and then it didn't follow her, but it stayed at the house.
Mm-hmm. You would think it would follow her instead of staying at the house, but I don't know. Maybe she created something there.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. How messed up of the dad, though, to just like take the stepmom's side without even like hearing her side of the story or anything. Ugh.
Yeah, I have a feel like a lot of the people in the story are kind of, I don't know. They need to work on their communication skills.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting though. I was not expecting a witchy story though, so that's cool. But yeah, the haunting thing is kind of crazy. That's why I don't believe in like messing with things, even like Ouija boards and stuff. It's like, no, because you never know like what kind of energy you're gonna let in when you do that stuff.
That's true. And yeah, I'm very, what's the word? Not very superstitious. I'm a little stitious. So even though I don't really believe that a Ouija board works, I still wouldn't do it just in case. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
Something
Rudy's just in case rule,
Mm-hmm.
the just in case method. But yeah. Well, good job. I enjoyed all of these. These were all like not. I thought you were gonna go more like ghost stories and stuff, but these were like a nice mix of different things.
Yes, I did want to like mix it up and kind of have like different types of scary stories, which I feel like is fitting when you go to like a sleepover, and that's what we're trying to do, kind of create that like sleepover vibe. So I thought these were like perfect little stories to tell each other before we went to bed.
Yeah, for sure. We'll see. It's funny. So I actually have I don't have a story, but I actually have a video clip that a Ghoulster sent me that I'm going to share with you one day. I haven't decided when I have the mental bandwidth to do the whole like screen share thing and stuff for you. So that'll be something to look forward to. But I know you had mentioned this before that you would really love to get to the point where people are submitting stories and stuff. So I think that it would be really cool if we do get to that point, because it's hard to grow an audience big enough to like have a sufficient amount. But I did used to have a submit a story option on my website before, and I had taken it down because I didn't really have anywhere to put that. So I'll look into over the next couple of months getting that set up on my site again so that people can fill it out and it can automatically go to you and you can have your little library of stories.
Yeah, that would be cool to have a mix of like stories I find and a mix of if listeners want to send their stories. But yeah, that sounds like a plan to me.
Yeah, that would be fun. Well, snaps for Rabbit.
Thank you.
I don't think I'll lose sleep over these. So this is
Good.
your sign to go scarier.
Okay, good.
But they were interesting. Good job. All right, Ghosters, we hope you had fun at our spooky slumber party.
And remember, we're haunting you with new episodes on the 13th and 26th of every month.
Until next time, sending you ghouls and kisses. Bye.
Bye.